with the loser on the floor. Get down.
Let me clear my throat. Yeah, oh, that's better. Somebody pass around the offering. Since I'm always preaching on tracks, you feel me? I'm not gonna get paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informant, that information for me. Important, you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortune me blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focused on scoring. Got your underperforming. I never expect something, never assume nothing. Judging me for my past, but that's why I'm triumphant. I don't demand, I know where I stand like engineer hands. Watch how my life pans. Cut that game plan. Show out like a jotter, pop out like a cutter. Telling the quick rock, skipping the course, squares like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my diddy boots, ain't no stop. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without the need of a validation. No congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without the need of a validation. Yeah. If having hope is dangerous, call me evil Knievel. You leading on the wrong side, living with pens and needles. So lethal, made Shane Black wanna write a sequel. Cause I snuggle my dream till it's seen as illegal. And I still probably will, cause I can never give up. I got my goals calling me, how could I never pick up? Either we make up or just break up.
Happy Thursday, happy Thursday. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. How y'all doing tonight? I hope you are doing well and everyone is okay. It is my favorite day of the week because I get to come here and spend some time with you, and you, of course, along with the Bravo crew, our Thursday Night Squad, the greatest to ever do it in these YouTube streets. That's right. I'm absolutely biased and 1000% truthful. Okay. Nobody got nothing on this Thursday 19. So therefore, we are glad to be here tonight. I hope you guys have had a great week. August is almost over. Can you believe it? I know I am having a hard time believing that. But it is. It's true. We're almost done, y'all. So, welcome in to another great Thursday night conversation. This month of August, we have been digging into some good old conversation. Y'all know how we do it here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. We keep it tight, right, and truthful. And we are glad that you are with us. And y'all bear with me. Yep, still getting a few things together behind the scenes, but that's all right because we are ready to go. And here we are. So, as always, I'm your Thursday night host, Lady Dawn B. Always glad to be here with you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And if you don't mind, you know how we say here, if you could just hit that thumbs up button, just like that, on your way in. Just that way, we don't want you to forget on your way out. So if you do it on your way in, we appreciate that. Just hit that. It's like that's free 99 for you, but it means everything to us. And we are very grateful that you are here tonight. Let's see what else. As you know, we are not a Christian network. Here we have real conversation in real talk, real time, real conversation. And with that being said, we're not here to convict nor to convince anyone of anything. We are here to have great conversation and learn and glean from one another. We are here just to, help each other grow. Because as we grow, we can show up better. The better we are as individuals, the better we can show up in our spaces, right? So invite somebody if you don't mind. Share, because we're going to have a good conversation tonight. This month of August, I have loved it. We have had good talks. If you missed it, go back and catch the replay. But again, here on the Bravo Sheila Network, we do appreciate and accept everyone's thoughts, feelings, opinions, whatever your moral compass is. We want you to get into the chat and engage and enjoy, and let's learn from one another. However, we do have one golden rule, which is the main rule, which is respect. We don't have to agree. We are not one voice, one sound, but we are respecting each other's voices. So whatever your moral compass is, we invite you to share it with us so that we can learn, maybe gain some new perspective and some understanding. However, we do require respect from everyone in the chat as well as on the platform. And if disrespect is found, unfortunately, we would have to remove you from this space because we definitely honor and protect the integrity of this space. And so don't, feel away by some mishappenstance. Our moderator, who is the greatest moderator to ever do it, that's right, in these YouTube streets, Lady Ine Kenya herself, she is in the building. Welcome, Ine. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always being on point and in place. Listen, we couldn't do what we do without you, so we appreciate you. And she will have no problem using her trigger finger to remove you from the room and from the network. So let's not, because her finger's been light. It's been really light. So, all right. We don't want to have to put nobody out tonight. That's what we don't want to do. We want to make sure everybody stays. So we're going to remain respectful one to the other. That's what we're going to do so we can have good conversation. Again, we are not here to convict nor to convince, but we are here to have conversation. Okay? So we're going to remain respectful. Also, we want to invite you to subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss any of the good content that goes on here on the Bravo with Sheila Network, which also includes Mondays Beyond the Mic with Dr. Elaine Edwards and me as the co-host. And we appreciate you guys coming in and sharing with us. Now, Monday nights, we have a bit of a milder type of conversation. This month, we've been talking about being financially fit. So if you've missed anything, go over, watch that. I promise you it will be good. Got some good nuggets going over there because we want to be relationship ready. But, the old song, no romance without finance, like it costs to date, right? It costs. It don't have to cost a whole lot. It costs, costs to be relationships. We got to take care of each other. Can't do that, just blinking our eyes at each other across an empty table. So, we want to get our finances in order. So join us on Monday nights. We've been having a great time over there. And then come on over here on Thursday night so we can talk all things relationship and really get down with the get down and get down to the point of the matter. So tonight, guys, I'm like, is that all? No, I would be remiss. Again, while I said we are not a Christian network, however, if you do need some spiritual guidance, a little encouragement, whatever it is that you may need, you can go right across the street, right, left, doesn't matter, north, south, east, west, it makes no difference. You're still going to get there. Go over to the Sheila Ingram Ministries Network. Over there, you will find a curator of this amazing space and also that space in the person of Pastor Sheila Ingram. I call her my Auntie Bravo, and she is there along with my mom, who literally pushed me out. I'm her fourth of her 4 children, Pastor Rosa, and I call her my Auntie Gangster. She is Reverend Jenny, and the 3 of them are over there, and they are delivering words of encouragement. You have prayer, you have the kabbalah, there's ministry through music, all the necessary things for your spirit. You can go over there and find. On Fridays at 11 a.m., they have the Women of Grace, which is the trio of them coming and sharing. On Tuesdays, my mom, Pastor Rosa, is on at 10 a.m. sharing a good word. And you will find Pastor Sheila scheduled throughout the week on both platforms. So again, you don't want to miss any of these things. You want to make sure you subscribe to both places so that at least you get the notifications to make sure that you're informed, and you can always go back and watch the replays. But over here on this side, we're not the Christian side. So, we're going to keep it real and raw. I'm just saying, we going to keep it. It's all right. Can we just keep it basic tonight? Can we just talk? So can we talk? Can we do that just for a minute? Let's do that. All right. So y'all know how it is. Y'all know how this goes. And part of the squad is already here and ready to go. Before I bring them up, because tonight is going to be good, y'all. Tonight's going to be real good. I mean, every night has been good. But this week and next week is going to be fire for real. So y'all want to schedule some time to make sure you're here next Thursday, okay? But on tonight, let's see who we got in the chat so far. I see a few people. Welcome in. Look who is here. Patrick Riley, aka Bishop. Welcome, Bishop. It's so good to see you. Oh, I'm sorry, we're talking regular today. What's popping, Patrick? It's good to see you. Thank you for joining tonight. Glad you came on over. He's a regular, and one of these days maybe he'll pop up on this side of the platform if I can convince him. But I just appreciate you being here. The vocals, you hear me? Okay, okay. I was just, I just had to put it. I just was trying to say. I was just trying to talk in plain language so people could understand. Can we just talk for a minute? Just for a minute. And I appreciate you. Appreciate that. And see who else. And she's no stranger to the Bravo family. Her and her husband were on last week sharing with us. She is half of Team Bloomfield. She's in the person of Lady Zinges in the house. What's good, sis? Thank you for coming in, for stopping by, and for being here with us on tonight. We appreciate your presence and excited that you are here. Her and her husband came through last week. We had a great conversation. So again, go back, catch the replay. I promise you, August is a great month. Let's see who else we got in the building. Oh, my sisters are coming through tonight. I am so excited. What's good, Chastity? Thank you for coming, sis. I love you. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. It's good to see you. I hope you are well. And of course, my sissy Carolyn is in the building. What's good? What's popping? Glad to see you. Ain't nothing like sister love. Ain't nothing like it. They are coming through on tonight, and I appreciate them. Thank y'all for being in the building. Again, for those of you who are just joining and who are coming in the room, I ask that you would just hit that thumbs up button. It's free 99 to you, but it means everything to us, and it helps us to push our information in this broadcast and all the other wonderful things we do out further into these YouTube streets. So we appreciate it. Just that 2 seconds, just like that. You ain't even got to push your heart, just touch it. So we do appreciate that, and thank you. And I'm excited to be here tonight. So with that being said, let's see. And for those of you who are up in the silent section, we want to say good evening to you too. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. And we invite you to come on down to the comment section because we do want to hear from you. We would love for you guys to engage your thoughts, feelings, and opinions. I promise you, we want to have conversation. It's a safe space. But come on down to the comment section, say something. Let us know that you're there so we can greet you. If nothing else, I just want to say hello and thank you for coming in. So on tonight, it's going to be great. We are talking a little bit further about relationship, and we're going to delve into touch on a couple of things. And y'all know how here on Thursday nights, conversations take on a life of their own. So we never know what we're going to get. Wherever we hit the sweet spot at, that's where we stay until we hit the peak of our conversation. So, and you always know it's after dark. We curve at 8:30. We just go left. It's whatever. But this month we've decided to start left. So I don't know what's going to happen. Just get yourself ready because it's going to be good tonight. So on tonight, we're going to have a little bit of a conversation based off of and engaging in a book that I had the pleasure of being a co-author in. And it was our first writing experience. And through that, I gained not just a lot of knowledge, not just a launching as a professional published writer, but I also gained a lot of sisterhood, like for real sisterhood, which was a blessing. And so with that being said, we're going to talk on the topic tonight of loving you is hurting me. Okay. I don't know if y'all can really see that. I'm sorry. Loving you is hurting me. It's a good old book. I promise you, it was written about maybe 5 years ago. I think we wrote this book about 5 years ago. And we're going to talk about some of the chapters in here. I got some questions for y'all. And we just going to dialogue. But before we do that, let's bring up our platform people, our squad. As you know, y'all love, and y'all appreciate. I said I was going to have to start a fan club, okay, right soon, because this guy here, okay, you have known him, you love him, you are getting to know him and love him even all the more. And I'm going to tell y'all a little secret. Next week, he's coming back on and he's going to be featured next week. I'm going to tell y'all again at the end, but just for those who are here right now, just want y'all to know. So if you're excited about him, you want to make sure that you share everything that goes on over here, because next week he's going to be here talking more about his book, Courageous Vulnerability. Where is it at? I got it here too. See, I got to carry it in my bag. You see what I'm saying, y'all? I'm trying to tell you. He's going to be here sharing again. He shared what he already was on, but he's coming back. Courageous Vulnerability. There we go. All right. My lighting's up. Y'all see what I'm saying. But I'm going to let him show his book himself. But anyway, he's in the person of Justin Wilson, AJW, aka the poet. What's good, Justin? How you doing tonight, love?
Hey sis, how are you? I'm okay. I'm
You
okay.
good? You all right? All right. I see you. I see you with the. I see
Yeah,
you.
I ain't have time to go get a haircut, so this my
Listen,
Labor Day.
you're doing. It's working. You're doing what you do. You're doing what
Yeah.
you do. It's giving. I like it.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I'm glad you made it on tonight. We're gonna have a good conversation. And y'all know her. I call her the Bravo Nation sweetheart. Is who I call her. People say American sweetheart. She is the sweetheart of Bravo Nation, and she is one of the sisters that I said that I inherited, that I gained. She and I clicked from day one. You will hear us say it probably every time we on here together, some way, shape, or form. That's right, because we want y'all to know that's how when God purposes stuff for your life. And again, while we're not a Christian network, but y'all know I always say I'm a God's girl, so you're gonna get a little Jesus when you get me. And we are all believers on this platform, so that's our language. But you fill it in with whatever your moral compass is. We ain't here to hate, we here to learn and celebrate. So she is my sis, and y'all know her and y'all love her. She is Coach Theo, and she is also the co-author of this book. Welcome in, sis. Happy Thursday.
Thursday. How's everybody doing?
We good. How are you?
I am good. A little tired, but I'm good.
Okay. Well, listen, I think that's going around right now. I'm with you. I think we all in that same space. But we get our second wind as we start talking and engaging and getting into it. Something
Yeah.
kicks in and we pick it up. Say it again.
No, I was saying hello to Anae.
Oh, all right. Yes, the Nay is in the building saying hello to you. And while we are saying hello, let's see who else has joined because a few people have come in. We got my sis Michelle Roach. She says, "Good evening, Lady Dawn B and guests." So she's saying hello to everyone. And Nay is doing what she does and greeting the people, saying, "Hey, Justin. Hey, Michelle." I know she said, there we go. Hey, Theo. And then we have Mara. Oh, hey, sis. How you doing? Hey, fam. How are you? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Michelle is saying hello to the Bishop Patrick Riley is in the building on tonight. But we're just gonna let him be Patrick tonight. We ain't gonna do it too bad. All right. So on tonight, guys, we're gonna kick it off talking about this book that we have had the honor and the privilege to co-write, co-author together, along with let's see, with 4 other women, including the 2 co-founders of our writing group, which is Dr. Elaine Edwards. You see her on Monday nights if you come on, and Coach Pache, who was also on Monday Beyond the Mic until her schedule changed. So we wrote this book, I want to say about 5 years ago, and there's a couple of sections in it that we want to talk about and we want to share. We want to talk about, what happens when you're loving people, but it's hurting you. Because sometimes we get into relationships, and this is not just male, female. In this book, we all shared from our spaces of experience, and this dynamic of loving people to the point where it's hurting us, again, is not just male, female relationships. This is also family. This is also friends. This is also job. This is also church. Sometimes we are serving in all of these other places and pouring out a labor of love, but to the point where it is depleting us. And when you become depleted and no one's filling you back up or no one's pouring back in, what happens? It becomes painful because you are giving, but you are not getting back what you need. So we want to touch on that. We're going to get into these chapters in a minute. So I want to say, well, first I'm going to ask Justin, when you hear this topic of loving you is hurting me, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
I know the audience not gonna understand this, but that piece I sent you. And what I
Okay.
can say is, um, for a very long time, I I thought that loving included. I thought that being hurt was a way of kind of showing that you actually do care. Um, but it doesn't have to be a one-sided thing. That's what I've learned. And so for me, it hearing that makes me go back to before I started the healing process and the healing journey and became more informed. And I think that to some degree, if you when you love somebody, they get close enough to hurt you, but
Hmm.
there's a there has to be a boundary in there. Um, and you're not proving anything by suffering someone who is doing everything in their power to show you that the feeling is not mutual.
Well, say that part again. Say it again. Say it for the people in the front.
Yeah, you, you don't have to when you're loving someone, it doesn't have to be to the point. You want to make sure that the people are reciprocating reciprocating the love. You don't prove anything by loving somebody who's doing everything in their power to show you that they don't feel the same way you feel.
And
And a taker will continue to take as long as you're giving.
mm-hmm. As long as you're giving, that is a good and true point. Um, what do you say, Theo? What do you say in addition to what?
I mean, I think it was amazing for me because, I said yes and then was like, why did I say yes? Right. And writing this book. But, but, but then going through the process and meeting the other women, right? You begin to realize how everyone experiences this differently, right? And so, but everybody kind of went through the same thing, right? And so I think there's a dynamic when you start to think about, right, how you shrinking yourself so much that you are loving someone else so much, giving them so much grace, giving them so many chances, right? That you may not even recognize. Like for me, I don't even know that in the space that where I was loving someone that it was even hurting me until after it was over, right? And I realized that I maybe had stayed in something too long or accepted or settled for something too long, right? And really didn't recognize how much I probably was hurt. They forget about them hurting me hurting myself, right? So I think just look and some of that thought has come from the healing journey, right? I can't say that when I was going through it that I probably even understood that, but I think the more I worked on myself and healing is where I began to realize that a lot of time we teach people how to treat us, right? Mm-hmm. And so once we recognize that and come to the understanding that I don't have to settle, right? Like, it took me a long time to actually say what a lot of people say about me is that I'm an amazing person, right? And I would never, I would be like, I'm not bragging or conceited, but people always gravitate towards me. People always say that to me, but it took me a long time to be able to say, I am an amazing person. Mm-hmm. Right? And so sometimes that comes from being in situations where you shrunk so much that you don't even realize how much you dim your light for somebody else.
That's true. I mean, what you both said, sometimes I feel like we just got to let it breathe for a minute, because this is all introspective. And, our after dark conversations are meant to have depth, meant to be the things that we pause to talk about that we don't normally talk about. Like, let's get to the root of the matter, but we don't always want to dig down that far. And the reality of it is, that like you said, we teach people how to treat us. And we teach people how to treat us by, I find it's more what we don't say than what we do. You know, it's more so when we don't allow ourselves to have the voice that empowers us. It's almost like sometimes we're afraid to be empowered. I'm afraid to say, like you said, you just at the point where you can really say, I'm amazing. I struggle with that myself sometimes, you know, and I will say it in a boastful or jovial way. But the more I tell myself, no, you are, you know, like you are great. If we're so quick to pick ourselves apart. Like if I asked you two things, what are your two major flaws right now? I bet you could say what those are faster than you could say what are two positive things about you. And that's because we're always looking from that space of not being enough, you know, which is why I believe we get ourselves into these compromising positions in relationships, again, of all kinds. Because we want to sometimes be somewhere where we will be accepted as is, but not challenged to become anything more. We want to find ourselves in spaces where our flaws are kind of covered up, you know, instead of exposed so that they can get better. And the thing about it is that we all have flaws. Everybody does. The person that you're trying to present a perfect picture of yourself to is flawed themselves. So it's like, what are we doing? You know, I'm competing. You can't compete where you don't compare. So if you're not perfect, why am I trying to measure my perfection up against you who is imperfect? I'm making you great in my eyes, you know, and yet I'm diminishing my own self, you know. So it's like it's a crazy cycle that we get into. And what I was hearing as you were talking is sometimes we experience unregistered pain. Because while we're in the relationship, we know something may not be right, or we're not feeling like we're being treated the way we should be treated, but it doesn't register as pain because we are going into this mode where we're trying to make it right or make it fix it, or what did I do? It's we take on the blame instead of standing in the fact that no, I deserve to be treated properly or with respect. You know, the other thing that I heard also, you know, between the two of you is the self-inflicted pain. You know, and sometimes that self-inflicted pain, again, comes from what we don't say. Because I become more afraid of losing you who's hurting me. I become more afraid of going to this space of alone, but not lonely. There's a difference between being alone and lonely. And we tolerate a lot of stuff so that we're not lonely. Not so much that we're not alone, because you can be in a room full of people and still be alone. You know, but we try to get away from that lonely place, you know. And I'm big on being introspective this year. Like everything that I do, I have to take a look at myself, figuring out like, okay, what am I putting out and what am I taking in? You know, another thing that you said, you know, was that a point of self-validation. Like you were saying, you know, you're at the point where you can say, I'm awesome. Give yourself a pat on the back. You know, big yourself up. And it's okay. Okay, I want to free somebody right now. It's okay to be great. I said it.
It is. It really is.
It's okay. It's okay to be your number one. Listen, I cheerlead for me in my sleep. Y'all don't even know. People would think.
It is.
I'm absolutely one of the most humble people. Like and I'm not saying humble people don't have to say they're humble, but I'm saying if you know me, like I don't like a lot of attention. I will leave me in the back. I'm like, I'm good or whatever. But I had to stop selling myself short. And saying like, okay, like I'm cool with working in the back, but I can also flow in the front. Like Learn to embrace being in the front. What makes you think you don't deserve to be up there with everybody else? Why do you think you always have to be in the stand? Why do you always have to be on the sideline instead of in the game? You know, and when you're not tending to you, I find that we are so much easier to accept the background and accept whatever's just given to us and accept, you know, just whatever is presented, and we'll make excuses for it to be okay. So we set ourselves up for this self-inflicted pain, for this lack of love, this lack of respect, and this lack of our needs being met. You know, let me greet some people before we go further in the conversation. What's good? We got Vaughn, the Invisible Man, Eric in the building. Of course, he says blessings and puts all the L's in to make sure that everybody is welcome. There's one L for everybody, so everybody can find their L. So he don't leave nobody out. And Paris says, bonjour, family. And yes, Coach, you are amazing on it. I told y'all, Coach is she's the sweetheart of Bravo. Come on, stop playing now. You know, this is my girl. I'm just saying, you know, we bring the best of the best. We got Coach is the sweetheart of Bravo, and Justin he's the heartthrob. You know, I told y'all we gonna get. I gotta get. I'm just telling you. It ain't my fault. It ain't my fault. I'm just sharing the feedback that I get. That's all. Just sharing the feedback. I'm putting my glasses on now so I can act like I can read right tonight. Paris says, I know y'all are on a serious topic, but I'm coming in late and I feel like I logged onto a Why you feel like you log onto a fashion show, Paris?
Hey, Justin got it going on.
I'm saying, I mean, he just, you know, the hat is popping. Like, I'm like, okay, bro, all right. I see you. I dig it. Paris, you a mess. But this is what we get on Bravo. It's what happens. Paris said it takes growth, maturity, and time to realize your value. You know, that's true. But I struggle with that at the same time. Because I wonder, like, why? Why does it take us time to realize our value? Why do we... I think we accept people pulling we know our value, but we allow the outside people and the outside thoughts to cause us to question our value. And then it takes us time to get that realization back. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I think I think it might be a combination of things, right? I think it's sometimes, you know, what you just said, but I think it's also sometimes related to just what you just described, right? I am like you. I'm that person that is very comfortable being behind the scenes. Like, I could coordinate, rock something, lead something, whatever, but I don't need you to publicize that I did it, right? I don't need to be in the front, right? And so I think sometimes it's us also being too humble, right? That sometimes prevents us from recognizing how valuable we are, right? Because we think that if we say it, we sound conceited or we sound arrogant or whatever. And in all reality, that's not the case. It's just really, you've been provided with a gift, right? God gifted me with a talent, which is leadership, right? And so I thrive in that area, right? And so I had to come to accept that is not bragging, it's not being arrogant, it's just that what I'm good at.
Right.
Right.
And you should own it, just like everyone else is owning. Yeah. The person I'm standing next to is owning what they do. Why am I uncomfortable about owning what I do?
And some people are owning what they do and they're not even doing it.
And they're not even good at it. You own it. Okay.
I know we have to, okay, I'm gonna dial it back, but it's true. You got some people out here that they're boasting, they're bad, but you're like, what you really doing?
Right.
I'm gonna leave that right where it is. Go ahead, Justin, because because it's gonna be 8:30 real quick. I'm gonna go.
I was gonna say, I think that like I believe somebody said the whole confidence versus cockiness dynamic plays a huge role in it, and then you know, a whole lot of the background, you know, you don't want to be seen as the cocky person, and I know in my experience that's definitely been a thing. I am not a person that wants to be up front. Like that's the hardest part of the book for me, is the having to be the face of it.
Yeah.
I would much rather let somebody else be the face of it, because I just enjoy writing.
Mhm.
And I've had quite a few people tell me, hey man, you should put this out there. So that's how it is. But I'm learning to be able to view myself as having more value than I have over the course of my life. It's a process, and it's a lot that goes into it. I don't want to come off like I know how to do it all the time. But yeah, that's a thing. That's something for me. But I feel like I'm really good at seeing the potential in others, um, and the greatness in others, and I'm learning how to view it in myself.
Mhm.
So I would just say to that, because I understand where you are, and I think we all struggle with that. I know I still do certain things, and I would just, for me, word it in the way that I don't struggle with seeing the potential in myself. I struggle with accepting the greatness in myself. That's what I struggle with,
Yeah.
because I know what I can do.
Right.
And I don't do what I can do to its full capacity, because I'm like, the minute I show up like full throttle, it's not everybody,
Mhm.
but you know, people hate you for no reason.
Yep.
But if I really show up, just and how we show up, just the intro, and it's not boasting, but it's the reality. It's like you're just gonna say, you're gonna feel less than, because you start comparing yourself. And then that makes me think about the people that I'm around and the people who are around me, because the people who are around me, you should want me to show up
Mhm.
on point, full throttle, 1,000, giving it, you know, a buck and change, you know. So when we're around people that are actually supporting us, stifling really who we are, you know what I'm saying? Like the struggle is not, because I see who I am. I'm just struggling to become it. Why? Because in a lot of ways, we start thinking, I know with me in my headspace, I'm thinking like, the minute I do this, it's going to take like 20 people out of my close friend group, you know. But people are going to talk anyway. And I think that success really is another opportunity where you learn who people really are, just like weddings and funerals. You find out really who people are. And success, I believe, shows you who people really are. So it was a good point, Paris. We got a few more. I want to read some comments. I'm going to bring up, because we got a few more people from our squad up before we go further into this conversation. Welcome in, everybody. Mara says, we sure do. Paris says, that look tonight, ma'am, gets the attention. So okay. All right.
That's why she's saying it the fastest.
I'm just basic. I'm just saying. But yes, the looks can. See what I'm saying? Amy is Justin's hat. It's not me.
No.
No,
She said, "Man, she's talking to you."
She just said she said you.
Yeah, she's talking to you. That's not me.
No, don't see. But y'all ignoring the comment that's up there now. We have had what we talk about.
You can go to the next. You can go to the next comment. That one, I appreciate.
It's the two of y'all. I'm just what you call it? What's the runway host?
Don't do that. Don't do that. You America's sweetheart. What you talking about?
Exactly.
We got to put on extra. You could just show up, basic. We can't do that when we on here with you.
Yeah.
We gotta do a little extra to shine. That's what's happening. Paris said, "Oh wow, what about the other guys? You hurting their feelings?" What? Oh, see, okay, we're just gonna hold on. Where we at? I was saying that you are too. No. Where's what other comments that we go? We're gonna move on down to the bottom comment. Okay, so we didn't do this today. So, by the way, thank you for ignoring my spelling. I can't spell, but I am distracted a bit. Okay, well that's all right. Let's do it. So, as we're moving forward in our fashion show, as Paris has said on tonight, our fashion show conversation, I want to bring up two more of our Thursday Night Squad members. Y'all know him. You already know. Paris's counterpart. That's her, her sparring partner. Bring up Sir Eric is in the building. Welcome, Ne. How you doing tonight?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. We hear you just fine.
Wonderful. Sorry I'm late. Work got extended.
Don't worry.
Moving people around from the room. So,
sir, you here. That's the most important thing is you here. We're glad that you made it.
Yeah.
And we want to welcome back, welcome in, welcome up our sis, our friend, the Dr. N.D. Brown is back with us on tonight. How you doing, sis? Welcome back. It's good to see you.
Hello. How are you, Miss Theodora? Hi. Hello, Eric, Justin. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Good evening.
I'm back from a mini vacation. Well, it really wasn't a mini vacation. I just had to take some time to get some things back. And so yeah. Is that Vaughn? Is that our Vaughn? Is that Vaughn that's in the
Vaughn? Yeah, he's in the chat. He's over there in the chat.
He's acting crazy. Okay.
He's taking so far. He's calm and mellow. He's been real easy lately. So.
Oh, he has. Okay. All right. So I'm here. So what are we doing? What are we chit chatting about this evening?
Well, welcome back and welcome in. So tonight we are sharing from our book and all for the thought, talking about Loving You is Hurting Me. It is a book that Theo and I co-authored. Listen, I'm gonna get my left and my right together one of these days with these cameras. Okay. But until then, y'all bear with me when I start, pivoting. We're talking about the thought and the premise of loving you is hurting me and what that means, what that looks like. Before we get into this book, and before we get into a couple of the chapters, if you would like to purchase the book, you can find it at, bear with me, I'm looking back for it. I had it up here in the comment section and my laptop is doing its own thing. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Theo's link is right here in the chat, so feel free to click on it, write it down. However you need to, you can get it. You can also go to Harlem Girls Forever Inc. And you can order it there as well. But if you would like to get a signed copy, you can order it straight from Theo's link, and we'll put that up later. I don't have my link, so there we go. So y'all filter in over there to Theo. Make sure you go grab it. I promise you, it is a good book. I promise you, it tells the stories of 6 women who shared their experience about loving people in a way that ended up hurting us. And it is not just male-female relationships. It is family. It is work. It is church. It is friends. No matter what that dynamic is, the principles are still the same. So welcome in, everyone. Thank you for joining us on tonight.
Well, you can send me my signed copy next week since our son is coming down. So,
okay.
Yeah, you can send my signed copy. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the station break. All right. Appreciate it. We'll do. Okay, so while we talk about loving you is hurting me, so I had a question that I want to ask y'all. It's not a trick question, but it's maybe like a little bit of an icebreaker. There are 2 questions. The first, and I want you all to write them down, and this is for you guys in the chat too. Hope you engage and share. So my first question is, name 3 people you love. Name 3 people you love, and you can put it in the chat if you would like. I would hope that you do. I wish I had some background music because I would give y'all, like Alex Trebek type music.
So, I got a question. You already know. Now you talking about love, past tense, current tense,
Whatever tense it is that you, wherever it relates to you.
All right, okay. All right.
Just name 3 people that you love.
Okay.
All right. Everybody, that's only 3 people. Just the first 3 people that come to your mind that you love. All right. So since Eric is finished first, I'm going to ask Eric, do you mind sharing your list with us?
Of course. You already know. My wife, my son, my daughter.
Okay. Awesome. Wife, son, daughter. Amazing. Love it. Appreciate it. Next up, ND, are you ready to share your 3 people? I can come back.
Yeah, you can. I need to think about that for a second.
No, it's not. You don't have to. It's not deep thought. It's just the name 3 people that you love.
I just know you, so I'm trying to figure out where you're going. No, I ain't trying to set myself up tonight.
No. This is not a trick question.
Theodora, I know where she going. I'm not new to this. I'm not new to this. Like, I may have been away for a second.
Listen, I promise y'all, it is not a trick question. I promise.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna just make it because it's not a trick question, but how do you specify that? It's somewhat
whatever that means to you.
I got friends, family, and co-workers. I'm gonna just leave it at that. That's safe.
Okay, if that's the way you go, okay.
I see you looking at me because I know where this is going. I promise you, I'm tapped in.
Listen, there's no right or wrong answers. There's no debate. And see, now you got Von Eric started in the comment section. He says, "Stop being difficult, Dr. ND.
The missing Black Power Ranger has risen. Shut up."
It's a simple question. Name 3 people you love. That's all. Name 3 people you love. All right, as long as that's your answer, it's fine. Come on, Theo. What's your answer? You want to share?
So I think for me this is huge because I would not have said this probably 5 years ago, but I'm gonna start with me. My aunt Millicent, and although he no longer walks on this earth, my father, my daddy.
Okay. All right. You, your aunt, your dad. All right. Come on, the poet.
JL, Brielle, and my mother. JL and Brielle are my daughters.
Okay, JL, Brielle, and your mother. All right. Perfect. Anyone in the chat y'all wanna engage? Come on, chat. Don't sit there. Don't spectate. Come on, we participate.
What about you?
The missing Black Power Ranger ain't got no friends because he always missing.
Name your 3 people.
Don't play nice. Well, I can't. It's not fair for me to, but I will after we get some shares. I will. I promise. I will tell y'all what my 3 are. Who else wants to share? Oh, look who's here. We got to pause to give some love to the curator of this space, Pastor Sheila Ingram. My auntie Bravo is in the building. She says, blessing everyone from the West Coast. Have a great show. Love you, auntie. Thank you for allowing us in this space on tonight, as always, every Thursday to do what we do. And let's see, Chastity says, Mom, son, Earl. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Vaughn, you want to name 3 people you love?
I keep telling you, he don't have nobody. He always missing.
We gonna play nice tonight. We all playing nice. We've been nice. We gonna play nice.
But
let's see.
I do agree with Dr. ND. Like, there's so many more people. Like, it really is family, friends, and not all the friends, but family, friends. Because there's so many people that I can name.
Okay.
European group, like that. So
But it's a simple exercise. It's really simple. I promise y'all, it's not a trick question, and I'll tell you that. Okay,
Really not simple.
it is. You see, y'all making it more complex. The level of trust that y'all have in me, I'm starting to get concerned. Patrick says 2 daughters and my son. Okay, Patrick, that's what's up. See, love is it's just name 3 people you love. All right. Well, let's see. So Eric said wife, son, daughter. Andy said co-workers, friends, and family. Theo said herself, her aunt, her dad. Justin said his 2 daughters and your son.
My mom.
And your mom. Okay. All right, your mom. I'm sorry. I couldn't remember. I should have wrote it down. Paris says, Dawn, Coach Eric, I love y'all to life. All right. Well, I take that and I like it in that order because I'm first. So, I just want to say that. So, the reason why I asked this question when we're talking about loving you is hurting me is when we're asking, name 3 people that you love, the only one that said themselves was Theo. We often neglect putting ourselves in that category of me loving me first, or even at all in that list. We're thinking of love externally. And we have to learn how to flip it into an introspection that you are worthy of the love of yourself. Sometimes when we don't put ourselves or prioritize ourselves on that love scale, it actually affects the decisions we make in the people that we choose to share our love with and those that we allow to love us. Now, I'll share mine. My 3 were God, my mother, my son. And it wasn't until I actually did this that I realized, again, because I went through it just the same. I was like, oh man. And they're like, well, what about you? What about you? I said, because you said name 3 people that I love. And they're like, are you not a person? I'm like, yes. And like, well, why did you not think to put you?
But you heard what I said when I started, right? It took me
Mhm.
work to get to that point, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what most people.
But it's a good point and good food for thought about where you place yourself when it comes to love.
So I cannot say that the reason I didn't, because I promise you I do love me. I would have said me, myself, and I, but I didn't want to, because of the space that we sit in, to say that, because someone may have interpreted that as me being maybe somewhat arrogant. But I am like Theo, like I am definitely in a place where, thinking about it, I definitely would have said me, myself, and I, because I know the work that has been done to get to this place of loving me, because I can't expect people to do something that I can't do for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good, that we did talk about that point of people's view or perception of us when we are commending ourselves or putting ourselves first. One of the points that I would make or even say to that is that also becomes a problem. Again, there we go with that, with the silence, with the things that I don't say. When I don't say I love me first, why is that wrong? For me to even put myself on the list of people that I love. Why do I feel like the thought, my main concern is how you're viewing me, whether you're considering me arrogant or not, or me setting the standard to say, I am one of the things that I love. It's that thought, that external thought of how people are going to perceive us. And they can think that and be wrong, and often are. It's okay to let them be wrong.
But I kind of think that comes from the culture that we're in, both from psychologically, hey, bishop, and also from a spiritual component. because we have a difficulty when we talk about it based from a religious perspective. When he said the first commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Well, we already struggle with those right there because we don't love our neighbors as we love ourselves, because many of us don't know how to love ourselves, because we have been taught what love looks like from a broken perspective and not from being whole, and that being whole is wrong because you always got to stay broken. So I think it comes from those crossroads that we are at now, where people are now, well, I'm not gonna say, some people are now saying, you know what, I need to choose me, and choosing me means that I need to step away, and that's usually hard. But I mean, I'm okay. I've learned how to clean house, so I'm traveling light in this season.
It's hard, but it's necessary, because that's why we tend to put everything else ahead of us, everyone else on top of us. And then what happens? We become bitter because we're left behind, or we're left in the dust, or we're going without. But if I never spoke my needs, if I never spoke my standard, if I never spoke the importance of myself, self-care is not selfish. And that's one of the things, we have to learn how to change the narrative. And that's one of the things that we're getting into, talking about loving you is hurting me. Because this is exactly how we get into this space, or one of the ways that we get into this space of loving other people to the point where it's hurting us. Because I'm not either putting myself, even if I'm not putting myself first, I'm not making myself a priority on that list anywhere. Out of those 3 slots, I mean, when you're on a plane and they say, if something has happened and the plane is going down, what do they say? You got to save yourself first, right? They say you got to put your mask on first, right? So if I'm not loving me first, then how am I expecting you to fill some shoes that I haven't even made yet? Then I'm letting you determine how I should be loved, how I should be treated, how I should be considered. But this again is just, these are thoughts to stir the pot for consideration. Let me see. Chastity says that is so true. She also says, come on, Dr. ND. Jasmine says, Nina, Terry, and the J Squad. All right, come on. And there's nothing wrong with us loving all of these people. It's just a matter of where are we prioritizing ourselves on this list, right? So that's just something to consider, and understand that there's nothing wrong with loving you somewhere in a list of priorities. Because if you think about it, if you would have put yourself first, or if you would have loved yourself first, how many relationships, whether it be male, female, work related, church related, or any of that, how many of those would you not have engaged in or stayed in as long as you did? Most of the time we stay in spaces not for us, but because, or we stay too long, not necessarily because of us, but because we are more concerned about hurting the other person. If we think about it. So I have another question. Chastity says, when you truly love yourself, then you own your boundaries, know what you want, and you love better. Now, by no means are we saying that even if you didn't put yourself in the top 3, I'm not challenging anybody's love meter or measure of themselves. That is not what I'm saying at all. We learn to love ourselves in increments, like Theo said at the top of the show. Like I agreed and said also, I didn't always love me to the magnitude that I do today. It took me time to learn how to love me this way. And I'm still not finished. We just getting here. Like it's getting good. But I'm like, I really like me. Like I like who I'm becoming. Like this becoming thing is like, it's what's up. I wish I would have tapped into becoming a whole lot sooner. There is a joy in discovering who you are and being secure in who you are and loving yourself unapologetically at whatever level you are at. And when you do that, again, we don't stay in spaces longer than we're supposed to. So my next, go ahead.
Before you go, I'm thinking about like culturally, because I'm really thinking about this love yourself thing, right? And I'm wondering if for me the reason I didn't think to myself is because culturally I've been taught as a man protect, provide, and what is it? Protect, provide, and the other P, I can't remember it right now. But
I got you. Slipping my too.
you do that for others. Like everything is about other. Um, even my desire to be better, I feel like I do it for other. Um, like you say, I'm learning to kind of look at myself and be like, yo, you're a pretty good writer, you're a pretty good dad, and like all of that stuff feels so weird and foreign. But I guess at some point we can talk about it more, but this love yourself
Hmm.
thing, that is a very interesting I definitely want to dig into that. But yeah, I don't think culturally for me, where I grew up and how I grew up, that loving yourself was necessarily a thing that is has been pushed, and I would definitely like to have a conversation about how that looked in practice. But I'm sorry, I'll wait till
No, no,
later.
no, don't apologize. Listen, you know how we do here is open dialogue, and the conversation takes on a breath and life of its own. And that's a good point. Culturally, and also, gender, not as well, culture, how we grew up, like you said, protect, provide, and I can't think of the other P either. But as men,
I think it's pray. I think it's pray.
I'm not sure. I just, but we'll find it. But Eric, do you, as a man, do you feel, or how do you relate to what Justin shared? Because oftentimes men are taught to think of themselves second or love yourself after. Everything that you do is guided or governed or motivated by being that protector, that provider, that presence. Um, so from a male perspective, what do you say in correlation to what Justin shared?
He's right. I mean, I was brought up. I was brought up to protect and provide for my family first. Take care of your family first before you take care of yourself. That's the way I was brought up, and I've always done that. So I always made sure that my kids had. So if it was my last, they get it before I get something. I'm not gonna take my last and go out and buy me a pair of sneakers when they need school clothes. So that money goes to them, and then I can get a pair of sneakers at any given time. So yeah, I was brought up to provide for my family first, and me secondary. As long as I'm breathing, I am good.
Okay. So with that being said, since we here, and that's a really good point, Justin. Um, as long as you're breathing, you're good. So for our men folk, um, are you really good as long as you're breathing? Is that the only thing that you need, or is that a, I want to say, offset result of of what you've been taught?
I think it's the offset result of what you've been taught. For me, it's the offset result of what I've been taught. I don't really want to speak for others, but I think that to me, it's my worth as as a man. Like I don't even get the right to be a man if I'm not doing for others. So I think that's why it's such a like grasping the concept of self love. I can honestly, I'm sitting here thinking about it. I love myself in as much as I can do for my family. My value is tied to what I can do. It produce is if I'm not producing, then what good? Like I don't. It's hard for me to even grasp the concept of having value if I'm not producing for the people that I love. So that's this is really an interesting. This is interesting.
It makes
Because it
it
makes
makes.
me think about your mental health. Like, what does that do to your mental health?
I
I
think
mean,
also think of your heart health. You know, your emotional health. All of that, like, and all of those are linked into, like they were saying, your mental health. Because making that statement, like, I'm sorry, did I cut you off, Theo? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, I was done.
Okay, and so because Eric making that statement that as long as I'm breathing, I'm okay. You know, when the truth is, you need a whole lot more than breath to survive.
Of
But
course.
you convinced yourself that all you need is breath to survive. You could live without everything else. Yeah, you might be able to wait for a new pair of sneakers, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean that you don't need, you know. And a lot of men and men in the chat, y'all can chime in, you know, share your thoughts, you know, while we're here at this juncture. You know, please do share. We're talking about when loving you is hurting me. We're talking about the point of loving ourselves first. I asked everyone, welcome in everyone. Welcome in, Roderick Brown. How you doing, love? Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you, sunshine. Y'all say hello. Y'all welcome Rod in. Um,
Good evening, Roderick.
Good evening, Roderick. Can I just say, from a woman who has who my father was very much is still alive and still in my life. Being having had been married, raising two boys, now having five grandsons. There are some things that I definitely have come into play, and now preparing to be married. Again, I'm going to say married for the first time. I'm going to discount the first one. The first one was training. It was training on what not to do. I'm just telling the truth. I think that one of the things, I think, as Justin has said, that I have watched, in watching my sons provide for their sons. And I have the bishop here. If y'all don't know, this is the bishop. This is my grandson. This is the bishop. So he's very much marking the conversation. I think that when I had said culturally, when you see from growing up from being what am I? Am I a Gen X? I can't never remember what I am, because this is all okay. So Gen X, watching my father, watching my grandfather. So I've had the ability to see these men. And my grandfather, as you said, Eric, he was the type of man that he provided. My grandmother did not work a job the entire time she was married to my grandfather. And he had this stickler that a woman was not dressed unless she had a pocketbook, gloves, and handkerchief and a hat. He's old school. That's how
Right.
he with her. And then I see my dad and my mom for the time that I was a baby, but seeing them separated. My mom was a self-sufficient woman. My dad was one of those dudes. My dad did what he did. He was successful. He's educated. And my dad's mindset is, when he married I seen him do for his other family what he did not do in regards to me, but he was still very much more present. And then when I got married, I saw my husband. At the time, my first husband, I looked at how he raised our kids, and there was some things that he did not provide my sons, to the point that my youngest son has said to him, there were things you didn't teach me how to be a man. And he said to him, you didn't teach me how to be a man. You didn't teach me how to handle some of life and situations. And he said, I had to learn some of these things from the streets. He was like, my mom taught me what she could, but my mother couldn't teach me how to handle the capacity as a man. So in regards of you saying that, I do believe that from a cultural perspective, that they tell us that men are not supposed to cry, that they're not supposed to show emotions. That shows a level of weakness. That is culturally what it has been from slavery on to now, that you are not supposed to show any level of emotions, that you can be weak and you can be vulnerable, because then that says that you are not who you are supposed to be, and you lack the intellect and the power and the respect that you would if you did show that. And then now we have men who do have and express their emotions, and then there are women now who will say, well, he's not a man because he doesn't, and he's not this. So I think that we have to find a happy medium, if that's even possible, So we as a culture, and I'm gonna say as a culture because that's what we are, that we reinforce that men have the ability to have should be vulnerable, because that means that they're more in they're inclined to identify what some of the challenges and struggles are, opposed to saying you gotta be this, you gotta be this, you gotta be this, and then you have nothing. You don't have empathy, you don't have compassion. You just have, I gotta make sure that I provide, I gotta make sure I pay, I gotta make sure I buy, I gotta make sure I'm this, I'm that, and you are empty. So what happens? And then when you lose it, then we are like, well, we didn't understand.
Right. Well, it's, it is, we understand the cultural shift that we are in, and the challenge. This is a lot of the problem that a lot of our men are going through, and you're absolutely right. A lot of men have to learn what self-love is, like you said, and like Justin was saying, because you did not consider it. It was not taught. The era was passed down because everyone has been we're learning, or we have learned from men men have learned from men who have been in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a major thing we got to think about. A lot of times I start thinking about who taught me this and what was their state when they learned it. Am I in that same state that I have to apply these things? A lot of things my parents taught me, I look back now and I say, do I really need to, is that applicable to me now? Do I have to, or am I just doing this because it's what I was taught to do, or this is just how you do it? I don't want to box myself in. I don't want to be limited. I don't want to feel suppressed. I don't want to feel repressed. I don't want to feel closed in. And a lot of men, I believe, are in that space, according to like just in the way our conversation is going, and that was a great point, Justin, that point of self-love, and where it comes from in that culture. And then Eric sharing, and again, men in the chat, please do chime in and share your thoughts and your feelings. When Eric said, he's good as long as he's breathing, because it's the 3 P's, to provide, protect, and some things say profess, some things say procreate, from what I looked up, those things are the 3 P's that men are supposed to do. But there's so much more to being a man. And beyond that, being a human being.
Yeah.
Just being a human being. Men are so much more, and women, it's like we have to redefine, I want to say, this culture. We're all recognizing that this is what the culture is. Some of us are recognizing what needs to happen for it to change, but so few of us are actually taking those steps to make those changes. We keep identifying a problem and somewhat initiating a solution, but not activating it. Like, we have to put it into practice, which is going to require Theo and my favorite word, grace, through these spaces, and especially for our men, because again, a lot of grown men are just learning what it's like to put themselves first, or to consider yourself, or to say no, and to do it, to say no to something, to somebody else's need, because you solving their need is going to put you in lack. Mm-hmm. But you do it anyway. Everything does not happen. You are not a professional sacrificial lamb. You know what I'm saying? You're not meant to be that. And then it's learning that, exercising that, and I think also attaching that dynamic of saying no guilt-free.
But I think it's also creating that safe space. So I will honestly say I love the fact that, now that I'm older, and a lot of my male cousins are older, right? Like, literally the conversations we have, I'll just call me like, you just crossed my mind, I'm calling to check on you, right? And just the fact that my male cousins, right, and I don't care if we want to say they're practicing on me or what, but they share, like, we have emotional, real conversations, right? And I'm hoping that provides them the opportunity to know that they can do that with a mate or someone that they're, in a relationship with. Because, like, literally, I mean, my cousins will call me to check on me, but I also now do the same for them, right? Like, right now, me and my cousin, I'm in North Carolina, he's in Queens, and my aunt had a fall, right? And in a hospital, and we're dealing with that. And I literally called him today and I said, yo, how are you doing? Right? Because I know right now he is the one that's trying to coordinate her getting out of the hospital, going to rehab. And if I was in New York, we would be doing it together. And I'm not there, right? But I had to take some time out of my day to be like, let me check on him, right? And I think sometimes we as women have to remember that although men show up as if they got it, sometimes they need somebody to say, hey, how can I support you? Right? How are you doing today?
And even when they got it, you still check on them. Don't let it be like, okay, well, you got it, and we go on. That's a great point, Theo. You know,
we have to, like, we forget that. Like, so I think somebody said in the comments, they're human. They have feelings. They have emotions. Whether or not they show them or not, it's up to us to kind of help them get to a space where they know it's okay. I'm not going to judge you because you're showing emotion.
right. And that's not a space for everybody to see. It doesn't always have to be public. It's not always meant to be on display. Safety is in safe spaces. Safe spaces are not necessarily all out in the middle and in the open. You know, there's usually what's behind closed doors. You want to be safe, you go in, you close the door. You know, you got to create, like you're saying, that space. I want to read through some comments, and then I have another question. Let's see. Mara says, I think if you don't love yourself, you'll teach people how to mistreat you. Absolutely. Yep. That was one of the things that we mentioned about, you know, and that's why it's important that you, when we ask the question, for those who are coming in, or just say, if you want to engage, the question that I asked was, name 3 people that you love. Now, y'all don't give it away because, you know, y'all worried, but name 3 people you love. Name 3 people that you love. I want y'all to know nobody trusted me. You know, I think Justin maybe trusted me a little bit, but I think it might be a little questionable.
Like that we didn't trust you.
Justin, yeah, because you be doing stuff. You be doing too much sometimes, and we don't know where you coming from.
I don't know what y'all talking about. I don't know what
Listen, I ain't just meet you yesterday. I've been your friend for a minute, so I know how you do.
I'm look at the question. What specific things did your son? Let's see.
I think that was for when I had said about my son. So I'll just say this. My son, in overhearing his conversation, I think he was reprimanding his father. He was telling him that he didn't teach him how to be a better provider financially. He was telling him that he didn't show him things about how to be a man, and how to navigate manhood and what it looked like. You can't tell somebody about what you've been through when you're not engaging what the culture is and the time setting is. And I think ultimately what my son was saying, that what works for you may have worked for you, but you weren't in tune to what was going on in my life. Even though I grew up in my mom's house and you were not far, you wasn't engaged in enough to sit up here he was like, Mom taught me how to love and how to cook and all these other things, but she couldn't teach me how to be a man and what a man looked like and how to handle what it was I had to endure as a man, becoming a father at a young age. Whew, I had to pray myself through that one. But becoming a father and the responsibilities of now being a father, going to work, managing, he was like, you didn't give me that. He said, so now I'm doing things and I'm seeing things, and it was harder than it should have been. And I think that sometimes we have to extend that grace that Theo talked about, that we sometimes expect people to know things. And I had to tell my son, there were things I couldn't teach you because I myself did not know them. I didn't get to know certain things until I matured in my own self to then. And once I learned, I was able now to come back and tell you, listen, maybe we should try and do it this way. But that's because here I've realized that before you can be, you have to make a decision of wanting to be better so you can show up better.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Well, I think one thing we have to remember is, I'm sorry, y'all, my mom had to be checking me. She was all right. One thing we have to remember is that some things we're all learning together. You know, one thing I will say, raising my son on a daily, you know, Eric's his dad, and you know, and he's present. They do their thing. It didn't take away from. There's certain things I can't teach my son. I can understand how he's feeling, but I can't help him process that because I'm a woman. I don't know what that feeling is exactly where other men can. And with that, I would tell my son, you also have to remember your father didn't experience everything that you experienced, and he didn't experience it the way that you experienced it. So you have to set the proper expectation because you are looking at him to have all the answers, which is wonderful. And I tell my son, I am not a superhero. And he swears up and down I am. Even to this day, he's 23 years old and swears that there's nothing that I can't do. I appreciate that. But son, I am human. I need you to take your expectations down about 92 notches. Okay? Because the day that I don't show up the way you expect me to, then you are disappointed and you're wounded for life. And it's not because I don't want to. It's because guess what? I'm today days old too. When we learning it, I'm learning it with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not 23 with you. I'm 56. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we have to make sure that we're having these balanced conversations with our children, because with a lot of men and women, this is somewhere where we have to help out too. And be realistic. Don't put your emotional feelings of the failed relationship on your children and your sons to make them bitter or enemies to their fathers. I said it and I would say it again because it is not fair. And that's not all women, but there are some women that do that. There are a good number of women that do that. Just because they may have been a poor husband, poor boyfriend, poor baby daddy, however you want to put it, doesn't mean they're going to be a poor father. But we put our emotions on our children and set an expectation, but that's a whole nother show. So I ain't even gonna go there. I ain't gonna linger on that too long, but I'm just saying we have to allow, set a proper expectation. Sometimes I have to redirect the way my son thinks or used to think and tell your father's human. He doesn't know everything. Guess what? You're the first son he had. You're the only son he's had. You know, so he's learning and he has to learn you. So there has to be a conversation, and that conversation lends to the support, you know, which also I think helps men to learn. I think and this is just outside perspective from what I've observed. Those type of things affect men in a heavier way mentally, makes you feel like more of a failure, so to speak, or a failure period when you are not. And it causes you not even to give yourself the grace that's needed, you know, to walk through that. So,
but that was a question, like as you know, as everyone was talking, I was thinking, right? Is it sometime also that the man that is raising a son is like, I want to teach my son, but I'm not really sure if what I'm going to teach him is going to be the right thing, right? Like, you know, that just popped into my mind, right? Like, is it sometimes that they're like, you know, I don't even know if I learned what I needed to learn, right, from my father to be able to pass it down appropriately to my son. And so I wonder if, and it's a question, right? Because I'm not a man, but that's something that, you know, I would say, like, Justin and Eric, like, what do you think that sometimes plays into, you know, that dynamic?
Give me 1 second before you answer that question. I just want to read through the comments so that we can catch up and then continue on. So don't lose that. But I just want to make sure that we get through the comments and catch up with the conversation, if that's all right. So Mara says, can't win as a man. I can't agree. You know, I don't think any of us are winning right now.
I was going to say, elaborate. What does that mean?
I think we all losing. But we in good company. At least we losing it together, so we all look like winners. It's fine. So Rod says, my generation was the first in our community in which there were more single family households than married. It is hard to know how to navigate without the proper tools. And that is correct. Like, how do I do what I haven't seen if I haven't seen it? You know, but I also think sometimes even with what we've seen, I think you still got to figure out like what works for you.
Mhm.
You know, we have to be open to it, but at least we need a start somewhere. You know, show me what it looks like. You know, it's hard to navigate that space. You're absolutely right. Landon says one thing I like is the creators or anybody teaching negative or mediocre is being called out everywhere. Did I read that right?
Mhm. Put on your glasses.
Even with my glasses, I was trying to make sure I got the words right. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Or one thing I like is the creators or anybody teaching negative or mediocre is being called out everywhere. I think right now mediocre is like, well, you know, it's average. It's you know, we're not meant to be. There are some averages, but listen, raise the bar, do something. Patrick says that checkup be everything. Don't stop that. So he's talking about the point that that Theo made about, you know, checking up on our men. How are you today? Before, not just, you know, running off the list of our issues, but how are you? Are you okay? And I believe in any relationship, you have to pause. And sometimes, and I think I said this on another show, pause and like, I'm not talking to you as the woman in your life, as your wife, your lady, your girlfriend, your boo thing, your bit, whatever. I'm talking to you friend to friend. How are you? Like, don't give me the girlfriend answer. Don't give me the husband answer where, you know, you have your protective layers on. I'm talking to you as a friend, like no judgment zone. How are you? And that's important. And if they don't know in that moment, that's okay. But, you know, we have to get to a place where it's normalized that we are checking with them. Chastity says, I totally agree at Sis Dawn. Thank you. I don't know what I said, but I love it. Welcome in, Terry. Thank you for joining. Says, greetings all. Mara is giving some.
That's my husband.
Huh?
That's my husband.
Oh, welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you for joining on tonight. Good to see you. Mara's giving 100s. Zen just said, life preparedness is not determined by whether or not you come from a married or single family home. Some of our greatest lessons can come from outside the household. And that's true. I think we have to allow ourselves the space to not always recreate the dynamic we were raised in.
Yeah.
You know, because then we just block it to this one thing. Because you got to remember, we didn't always see the arguments or the discussions that mom and dad had. We didn't. My mother, well, she's in my house right now. Normally she'd be in the chat. I didn't know when we didn't have any money. One of the meals, and I found this out later on in life, one of my favorite meals is when my mother would make string beans with potatoes and neck bones and put some rice on that, you know, some white rice. She's Southern, y'all. So, you know what I'm saying? That would, man, listen, I would lick the bowl inside out. I didn't know that was the meal that she would make when we didn't have no money. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea. I thought it was good eating. To me, I was like better than the steak.
Don't
tell mama she better make sure she got a pot for me. That's all I'm saying.
I was gonna say that's still good eating.
That's still good eating.
That's gourmet.
I fill my hut with that.
I had no idea that's what that was. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. I just knew something was always provided. And again, to this day, Mama, you got to make a big pot of string beans and potatoes with neck bones in it. And some white rice. And, all right.
Crazy, because that's what I'm making tomorrow. I'm a big smoked neck bones and string beans.
I'm just saying.
All right, so we're going to Eric's house tomorrow, y'all.
You gotta bring it to me, so
I'm gonna text everybody his address to make sure it gets texted. Amen. But my point is, we didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. We just knew that provision was made. Like, we didn't know when things were off. We had no idea, you know, what that was like. But yet we are expecting what was shown before us, what we used to compare our relationships to, you know. And all we see is that this was done, and we were never taught how to get through those hard times. So when hard times come, we're thinking that something is wrong. No, it's not wrong. It's right. Like in this, and I think as parents, I'm very transparent with my son because I want him, you know, I don't want him thinking that, oh, everything is wonderful. Nah, bro, come here. Let me sit at this table with me. I'm going to show you my paycheck. I'm going to show you these bills. I'm going to show you what this really looks like. Because I don't want you to be shocked when you get out there on your own and when you get a wife, and because she's going to expect you not necessarily to make the most money, but she's going to expect you to be able to sit down and help navigate, if not lead the way through it. So you got to learn how to, you know, okay, well, what do we need first? You got to learn how else are they supposed to learn? You know, so I just think that we have to keep in mind that we're not limited to just what we've experienced coming up, you know, but we got to take that as a starter kit and run with it the rest of the way. Brandy, hi, sis. I love you. Welcome in. It's good to see you. Y'all say hi to Brandy. That's my sis. I love her. You know, so
I wanted to say something because let me backtrack to the question that we was having before when we was talking about how we always look out for other people before we look out for ourselves. And I said that's the way I was brought up. My grandmother, who lived blocks from me, I would do anything for that woman. I walked through a snowstorm because she needed something from the store because she didn't have it in the house. So yes, I walked the 9-10 blocks through a snowstorm to go to get what I need to get for her and make sure I dropped it off. And I had pneumonia. So that's what I would do for my family. That's what I would do for my mother, my grandmother, my sister, God rest their souls, and so forth. I wouldn't do that for everybody, but because my grandmother's my elder, and because that's my grandmother, and I'm this person that lived to her, I'm gonna make sure that whatever she needs was getting taken care of. And my mother was her caregiver at one point before we had to put her in a nursing home. And my mother would go over there in the rain and the snow and all that. I'd be like, Mom, you don't have to go. I can go after work. No, but this has to be done now. And it's not like I could just leave work and just go ahead and go and do that. But that we don't have that now. You know what I'm saying? Like Jalen has my personality in a way because he sees that when it's snow outside, he'll go and make sure that his mom's car is cleaned off without her having to go and ask and stuff like that. So with him, it kicks in. Or with my daughter, it kicks in.
He better.
Well, yeah. I always tell him, I'm like, yo, wait for your mom to tell you to do something. Have it done before she get home. And stop asking your mom for money. Make sure you balance your money out so you can have enough car fare to go to and from work or wherever the case may be. Don't call me asking me to cash app you money when you have 2 jobs. I've got 1. And I've got $1 million in bills that I got to take care of. So, it's like, he's starting to understand and get it and everything. But
Takes time.
It's I don't know. That's why, yes, you gotta love yourself, but you gotta love your family members as well. We as men, we negate to take care of ourselves sometimes. We neglect to take care of ourselves sometimes.
I think it's more of the premise, and thank you for that share, and it's true, and men, y'all can again continue to chime in the chat, share your thoughts and feelings, because we want to understand while we're at this juncture. But I think it's more of the premise of find the balance of putting yourself on that list. If it doesn't get done today, is it really going to be that big of a deal? Because men, y'all do neglect yourselves quite a bit. Again, because like you said, you've been taught to protect, to provide, and either procreate or I forgot what the other P was. And you don't consider yourselves. And then we end up defining men by these things only. And not, okay. I'm not trying to get biblical. And this is one. Let me me just sidebar for a second.
Go ahead, do this.
No. I'm gonna no
disclaimer.
Hold on. The reason why I say I don't really want to get biblical, but I'm gonna bring it from this point is because we have to remember we hold people accountable to our beliefs when they may not believe as we believe. You know, not everybody, again, you know, so this is not a Christian network, but, you know, we are all believers. So again, I'm God's girl. You'll get some Jesus when you get me, and we are all believers. So this is our moral compass, but whatever your moral compass is that's what you use. But we can't hold people hostage to what our beliefs are of how things should work and how it should go. You know, we have to be open to other people. Like, you may think that, you know, it's supposed to be this way, and men are supposed to do just this. So I'm saying that as, you know, as a sidebar. But what I want to actually get to the point of is that women, for those who are believers and those who are believe, biblically, when we're talking about men being the head and the provider, it does not mean that they are the sole or only provider. We are helpmates. It says that we are the weaker vessel, but it doesn't say that we are weak. And this is the thing, and why a lot of men are going to their graves early, because they are trying to do it all on their own without the proper partner or support. And this is not lady bashing. This is not, you know, sometimes we just got to call the spade a spade.
Tell the truth. I got you. Tell the truth. I'm here. I got you. Tell the truth.
I was gonna say, you talking good.
I'm just saying. I was going to ask you about the women, because we're talking about men, but women.
You know, I'm team. I love being a lady, but I am team man. Why? Because I want, not because I have a son, but because I want our men to be okay. I understand my role. I understand my position, and I understand my place. You said last week, one of the most frustrating things, I think, as you know, when you're in a single space, I don't know about everybody, but you know, when I'm in a single space, when I'm not in a committed relationship, or even, you know, when I was married, one of the things that, like, I was created to support you. I was created to actually give me and multiply it. Not every woman has the gift of multiplication, so we ain't gonna lie. You know, everybody ain't got the same gifts. But for me and my hands, I'm gonna take whatever you give me, I'm gonna make it better. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm here to help and support. When I am not able to do that, it is frustrating to me, because I don't feel like I'm purposeful. I don't feel like I am fulfilling, and not saying that's the only thing that defines me. So hear me clearly. But in that relationship space, that's my job. So I want to take what you have and make it great. You know, let me do my thing. But women, we sit back and think, because of those two verses, that we're not supposed to. You know, listen, princess syndrome is real. But let me tell you something. If you ever really studied what it's like to be a princess or a queen, first of all, you're not just sitting there waving at the people, you know, maybe for 10 minutes when you were exposed to something, but there's still work behind. There's grooming that's behind. They don't just sit and do nothing. There's a whole lot of work, and we have to stop expecting our men to do all the work, and we just show up. So if you don't want to be valued just by your physicality, and then you wonder why he's not interested in anything that you have to say, and then opening your mouth, add some value. What do you bring to the table? Because he can get a pretty face and a big butt anywhere. Like you, but what are you adding to him? I think men are beyond that those days. Go ahead, Theo.
No, I wanted to bring you to the comments, because Mr. Winston is dropping some gems. Comments.
I was getting there. All right, so let's read these comments. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna put my glasses on. And he says, you don't have to reject your family's ways or copy them exactly. Honor the values that helped you, resilience, generosity, hospitality, and intentionally let go of the ones that don't serve you now. Exactly. You don't have to do everything that you were taught, You take what works for you now. Someone who grew up with financial struggles may bring resourcefulness. Someone from a more stable background may bring structure together. That balance can actually be powerful, as it should be. Agreed. Yes, sir. Men are often trained to give endlessly and ignore their own needs, but true strength is also knowing when to rest, ask for help, or allow your self-care, because you can't pour from an empty cup. Yep, I say that all the time. Um, he also says at the core, loving yourself as a man means seeing yourself as a human first. The provider slash protector role can be part of you, but it's not all of you. Agreed. Agreed. It is not. I hope y'all heard that. It's not all of you. It is not all of you. It is not all of you. Chastity says right there, as this, gotcha, sis. And Landon says at Terry, salute UCF Knights, women like babies fighting rest. So everything you said is legit, and here we are.
So can I just say this real quick, and I think I'm gonna be done for the night.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be done for the night, Theo. I promise you, I'm gonna be done. Where we at? Yeah, it's 8:41. We didn't turn the corner. I was consistent. I didn't. Okay, but anyway.
Well, we turned the corner where we started. We've been started.
Okay, yeah. So I want to say this in regards to being in regards to your statement of women. So here's the thing. I think that again, what we're asking is not impossible, but people have to make a decision. Whether you saved, whether you believe in Hare Krishna, whether you believe in crystal balls, you believe in elves and elephants, you are going to show up in the manner in which you want people to show up for you. Whether you believe in Christ or you don't believe in Christ, you should have the intentionality of being and showing up in a manner because you want people to show up for you. Also knowing that in that there's a possibility that they may not do that. And they may not do that because they cannot do it because they don't know how. Does that reduce how you show up? Do you shift because of that? And that also goes back to loving ourselves. You cannot expect someone to love you when you do not know what love in yourself is. You're expecting somebody to do something that they probably cannot do nor identify. Lastly, we have this thing as I've seen as I'm watching because of the singles ministry that I have, that I'm still, the Lord told me I could not shut it down, that I still have to go with it. I have seen the things that are happening in the world today where women have these extraordinary, unrealistic demands. And I have no problem with a man. A man should want to do it. He should not have to do it. And I think that that's because we live in this culture. So we as women, I'm independent, I'm this, I'm that. And yes, I would like that, but he doesn't have to do that. But if I want him to do that, then what am I bringing to the table to give him peace and comfort, and knowing that if he does that, that it's appreciative, and that I'm appreciative of the effort that he's put in. So I don't want people to think that this is all about just the men. Women, if we want something, we have to be partakers of what we want. And if we don't get it, then maybe it's our responsibility to show in a manner where we're not taking on minimizing the characteristics of the individual, of that said man that we're talking about, that we care and we love about. Because I tell my spiritual daughter, I tell my kids, it is our responsibility as leaders, I'm talking about from a Christian side, that we are to be, because people are looking for themselves in us, whether we are believers or not. Whoever we encounter, if there's an encounter, that's because that person sees something in you that they can identify. And if we can't help them, the last thing we're supposed to do is leave them worse than where we found them, because then that makes it worse for the next set of people. So I think that when women listen to this, that they don't sit there and say, yeah, he can't, maybe he doesn't know how to show up. And because you grew up with a father, maybe you can help cultivate him without trying to beat him down on how to be what you might think he should be, not based on your father's perspectives, but based on him as the individual man. I'm done for the night.
That was good. Chastity says insightful. And again, we're here having conversation, guys. Is that I know, we've all said a lot. I know I've said a lot. I just get really passionate about it at this point in life, and I get very frustrated with my sisters because we are carrying a dynamic that we should not, and it's not all of us. It's some of us. I again, that's a whole nother show we have to have. Maybe we'll have that next month. Because I think it's important. I told my son's girlfriend, listen, and I said it to him in front of her. Look, if he is not giving you what you need, the child, leave him where he's at. If he is not going after you grinding and he's dragging his feet, leave him where he is at. I am his mother, and I am telling you, I don't love him that much that I'm just gonna let him skate by and be, less than and drag you down. If I had a daughter, I would tell her the same thing. I'm like, do not feel obligated to stay here in a space where you can't push a person more than they're willing to go. And that's one of the things about loving you is hurting me. I'm staying with you longer than I should because I'm hopeful that you're going to get it together, but you're not quite getting it together. And I still got somewhere to go. I can't stop being me. And that's what happens. Sometimes we stop being us, men and women alike. I can only speak from a woman's perspective because I'm not a man. I don't know what it's like to date a woman. I never did. I'm a woman who does not date women. I'm a woman who dates men. I love men. Y'all are great. I think men is the greatest thing God ever created. I'm just saying. So, right. Okay, I'm not mad at y'all.
Women.
So let's say, all right, listen, hey, we'll take it. But, we have to, I would never want my son to be the type of man that I didn't want in my life. I'm like, you cannot leave this house knowing all the hell that I went through and the struggles that I went through and how I still show up in my femininity still. Although I can be as hard as nails, but that's because I have to be so that we survive. Like, you ain't gonna leave my house after watching your mother struggle and be the reason why another woman struggles. That's not gonna be right. I'm gonna choke you out myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do it. Like, you will not upset another woman's life. Now, I don't know what other women are doing. I'm just saying me. That's just me and my son. I would throat punch you myself. And he's like 6'2", 310. So he ain't no lightweight. I don't put out a football player. But we're not going out like that. We're not doing that. And I would tell any woman that's with him, if he is not performing and producing at the level that he needs to, where he can prove himself to be a suitable partner and mate to you, then go on, run your race. If he catches up, fine. And he can't catch up. Matter of fact, if he is not running ahead of you at that point, because I can't follow you from behind. I can't follow. I want you to lead. And it doesn't mean that you have to make a whole bunch of money. It doesn't mean that you have to give me every single thing I desire. That is not what it means. I'm talking about your character, your integrity, your will, your motivation. And I'm going to be the wind beneath your wings saying, baby, you got this. You could do it, get up from here and all of that. But, we have to do better. So, I agree and I appreciate everything that has been said so far. Terry says, I'm enjoying this dialogue. Thank you so much. I hope you will come back and enjoy with us once again, family. All right.
The same way that you tell Jalen, I say the same thing. Me and Jalen we have these deep conversations, and I tell him the same thing. I'm a lot calmer now and everything. Before, I used to get real upset with him, the way I hear him speak to females on the phone and stuff like that, and I used to get real upset with him because I'm like, yo, that's not how you're supposed to talk to her. That's not how you're supposed to talk to her. And if you can't if you can't step correct to her the correct way as a young man that you're supposed to be, pull your pants up off your behind, comb your hair, take a shower, smell good. If you can't do none of that, then don't bother. Because no woman, no young lady should ever accept that type of person.
Okay.
If you just shower and keep yourself looking nice, it's not acceptable. You
And
can't walk around in the streets looking like a ragamuffin. It doesn't work.
that's a part of loving you. That's a part of you loving you, and and you have to love you first, and that's with all of us. But we turn the corner on this because see, this is why y'all got to make sure you here next week too, because Justin is going to be our featured. He's not a guest, but he's going to be our featured. He's gonna be our main attraction next week. We're gonna get into his book, but I want to pivot a little bit at this point, and all of this has been really great as we're touching on this topic of loving you is hurting me, and I want us to share a little bit. I want to share the chapter, the title chapters of the book, and then Theo, I want you to chime in because this is a book that she and I co-authored with 4 other women. And the chapters, and I want you guys to think about these because they're in forms of a question. And in the chat, if you want to put your answers in the chat, we appreciate it because we want to dialogue and engage with you guys. But these are really, as I'm looking back at them now, and I don't think I've really picked up this book in a sense since we wrote it. But there are questions now that I would answer differently. At this point, just to see the growth. I think we need to do a loving you is hurting me. Where are they now? We need to do that. But the questions are, and guys, I want you, on the panel, I want y'all to write your answers down. Chat, I want you to get ready to put your answers down too. The first thing is what I thought love was. We had to write about what we thought love was. It don't have to be long. It could be with it, but just you know what? You write whatever you need to write, and then you can share whatever you need to share. The second thing was when I knew what love was. And then the last chapter that we wrote was when I decided to love me. All right? 3 things. What I thought love was, when I knew what love was, and when I decided to love me. So let me read this comment, and then I'm going to turn it over to Theo. Terry says, I believe that my wife should always keep her identity, and I should always perfect my identity. So I agree. So we can become something greater. That's right. You should. I totally agree with that. Be who you are. I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to be you. I need you to be confident in who you are. Because truthfully, there's some things that we're not going to acquire until we get together. There are pieces of Dawn that is not going to show up until I get with you. There are pieces of you that's not going to show up till you get with me. We are going to bring these things out of each other. The parts of me that are just reserved just for you. So, and that's what makes us greater. So again, the 3 questions: what I thought love was, when I knew what love was, and when I decided to love me. The book is Loving You is Hurting Me. Come on, Theo, share.
So it's interesting because at the time that I wrote, right, like I said yes, and I was like, I don't know why I said yes. And then one day I just went back to all these journals, right, because I journal a lot, and I just went back through all my journals, and it was there. And for me, this healing journey, and I say this healing journey because I feel like we're always healing from something. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was when I wrote my chapter, my main viewpoint was I didn't want it to be about what happened to me. I wanted to be about how I healed from it, right? Because what happened to me, right? And the more I stayed in that spot, the harder it was for me to get out of it, right? And so it wasn't until I decided to figure out why did I love so much? Because I was loving, because I mean, ultimately, at the end of my therapy and all of that and coaching, I learned that I was loving love so much that I was loving it more than I was loving myself, right? So I was accepting just enough. I was settling for whatever. I was making excuses, right? I was like ignoring all the flags that were popping up all over the place because I wanted to be in a relationship, right? And long story short, the breaking point for me was from 2016 to 2018, back-to-back loss. The first one started with walking into an apartment and finding my dad on the floor, dead, right? And from there, it was just like one loss after another, after another. And then the final straw was finding out that this dude I was dating for 3 years, which honestly, I think being disappointed in myself was the point that made me like kind of go into a really bad depression, was because I was like, you smart, you're intelligent. How did you not know that this dude was dating 3 other women? Right? How did you not see this? Right? You know, right? There was no signs. Like I could come and go to his places I wanted. He made time for me or whatever. And so for me, it was more of a disappointment in myself, right? For finding myself in that situation that I've really made me start to think about, why do you love so much? So I think when I started writing this chapter, it more so came from that place of I had to figure out why I was more in love with being in love than I was in love with myself. I remember when we did like the release of the book, and I remember Auntie Sheila asking me, because I had said I had this list of like 15 items, right? And she was like, what list you have now? And I was like, I don't make lists like that anymore, right? Because I had to realize that I had to learn how to love myself, right? Because love for me meant being in a relationship, being with somebody, right? That's what love meant for me, right? But then what I found that love was really loving myself first, right? In order so that I could not only love someone properly, but be loved the way I deserve to be loved, right? And so, and I decided to love myself one day when I got up and I was like, you know what? God said you could sit here wallowing in this space right here, or you could choose to heal. Right. And that is the moment that I decided that I was going to go to therapy, and the healing journey was going to be all about me and nobody else. Not what happened to me. Right. Not how I got there. Right. But figuring out who is Theodora. Why does Theodora love so much? Right. Why is Theodora accepting less than she is deserving of? Why is Theodora continuing to date these different looking people, but they the same person? Right.
Spirit, different face.
Right. And so for me, I think for me, what I thought love was just being in love, like being with somebody, right? Being in love, being there, right? But I always was the one giving more than I was receiving, right? And it wasn't a mutual 100%. And I'm gonna say this: these weren't bad guys, right? They just weren't the men that I was supposed to be with. But I was trying to make myself be with them because I just wanted to be in a relationship, right? And that is why I had to go through that process of learning what love was. And love was, you need to love yourself first, Theodora, so you could even recognize, right, what love truly is. Because nobody's going to love me better than I love myself.
That's true. That's true. And this book, me and Theo clicked like instantaneously from day one, like from the moment. Didn't know each other at all, but it was just something, because I felt the same way when I heard the title of this book. I was like, I jumped on it so fast, I couldn't even say no if I wanted to. I quit writing, I want to say 62,000 times along this journey. But my responsible adult, Pesce, was like, okay, she would let me have my moment. Yeah. And she's like, are you done? Are you done? Okay, I'm going to get, all right, so you finish it tomorrow. And I was like, no, I'm finished. And she's like, no, you're not. And I was like, okay, but I don't want to write no more. She was like, okay, I'll check on you tomorrow.
Yeah. There were so many times where I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do it. I'm going to back out.
Yeah. And the reason is because it brought me to the point where I had to face myself. Yeah. I had to face myself in how did I get here?
Yeah.
You know? And
I
when
mean, but that was the hardest part, sis. That was the hardest part, right? Looking in the mirror and saying, how did I get here?
I was thinking I was loving me, but I found out, like, really? Are you doing for you? Okay. Just don't let me.
Mm-hmm.
When we talking about loving ourselves, talking about love and loving ourselves, would you do for you what you do for other people?
Mm-hmm.
For the people that you love? Would you go to the ends of the earth for you? Do you show up for you the way we show up for other people? Do I put myself first the way I put other people first? These are the things. So, and it made me have to sit and look at myself and say, wow. One of the ladies in my church, I was in a really bad, I'm just going to say it was a relationship, really bad. After my marriage, really bad. And she stopped me one day and she was like, do you love yourself? I was like, what? And she looked, dead in my eyes. She was like, do you love yourself? Shut up, Eric. Do you love yourself? And I had to stop and really think about it. And my answer, I couldn't even answer her. I had to walk away because that was when I realized that my answer was no.
But that's the crazy thing, right? And that relationship where I found out the dude was cheating on me, right? My girlfriend used to keep saying, "Are you really happy? Like, are you really like you don't even seem to spend much time?" Like, and I would be like, "Nah, he's been like making all of these excuses, like I always had a reason, right?" And it was funny because as I was going through like therapy and I started just thinking about just not that relationship, but all the other relationships and just thinking about how many times that I just like made excuses or, was bending over backwards for people that weren't trying to do the same for like, it just really like literally I said to someone at one point, I healed pretty quick. Like I got over what happened, I think pretty quickly because I think what really took me out was I was more disappointed in myself. Like I was disappointed in the person because they didn't portray themselves to be who they said they were, right? But I was more disappointed in myself because I was like, wait a minute, chick, you walk around here like, you got it together, you good, whatever, but you wearing this mask because you're not. You're accepted. And here's the thing, my name means gift from God, right? Theodora, that is my name. If you look it up, that is what people will tell you. And I was like, yo, girl, you've been walking around here like you're not no gift from God. You've been walking around here accepting crumbs, right? And I'm not taking anything away from these dudes, right? They were not disrespectful. I've never been in an abusive relationship, right? But I have been in a relationship where, I gave more to try to hold on to a relationship. I held back from saying things or asking questions, right, that I wanted to ask because I was trying to hold on to a relationship. And so that is something I say to women now as I talk to them, especially my nieces and other women, right? Like just being honest, you should never have to hold back from what you want to say or what questions you have because you're worried about if that person is going to walk away, right? So, that is just my story,
And that's good. I want to read these two. Thank you for your real transparency. And I know that this conversation is helping people, whether you're in a relationship or not, because we always can improve. We always there are different levels that we still have to get to. There's somewhere that we got to go, and we have to start. If we're not loving ourselves, we have to start learning how to love ourselves and showing up as that. And with that, I will also just say, when it comes to the men in our lives and how they show up and how we represent and how we deal, if you're not allowing the men in your lives or the man in your life to love himself or learn how to love himself, I just want us to think about this. Then how do we expect him to show up and love us? If he's not, like, we got to allow them that space to learn that, whatever that is that they need, and we have to allow ourselves the grace and the space to learn it, whatever it is that we need, as well. Terry says self-care is a priority, not an option.
Not an option.
Absolutely. It is absolutely. I absolutely agree. Chastity says these questions have me considering the answers, which is causing self-reflection. Aha moments. And that's exactly the point of it all. So I want to go around before we wrap up tonight, or get to our wrap up point. This conversation has been good and it's been great. And I'm gonna ask you if you could please, sir, hit that thumbs up button if you have not already. But I want us to consider these questions. None of these things are going to be solved in a day or overnight, but it is to start to create a safe space for us to talk about it, first of all. Second of all, for us to walk away with some tools and be equipped and empowered to start our journey to that better space. And to know that when I get me together and I love me, I show up better for you, better for the people in my life, whether it's my job, my church, my man, whoever and whatever. I show up better. So I have an obligation to love me. I'm obligated to love me to the best of my ability. I am. We are all obligated to love ourselves. So I want to go around. I'm gonna start with Justin, and then I'm gonna go to Andy, and then I'm gonna go to Eric. And I want to ask y'all, of these three questions, which one stands out to you the most, and what would your answer be?
Question number one, what I thought love was. And my answer is I thought love was being present even in the hurt. Yeah, I thought love was being present even in the hurt.
Okay, and I believe that is an aspect of love. Did you believe that that's all love was?
No, I mean I thought I the way I view love is that love is, there's a totality of love. So like there are aspects of it that I feel like have to be there, because I feel like there's a work that collectively defines love. But one of the most important things for me, and I'm literally like processing this conversation right now because it's allowing me to see some things. But one of the very important things for me was to stay present even when it was uncomfortable to be present. And that was a huge aspect of love for me. And I gotta work on that a little bit. So yeah.
Okay, I like that. That actually that hits home for me, is to be present in that. In that, you done tapped on something there. Now I'm having my own moment here. That was good. This is what I love. And like on Monday nights, I always say my word on Monday night is I'm reformed. On Monday nights, I get to be reformed. And sometimes our topics, me and Dr. E be like, okay, we got to brace ourselves for this one, because we go in and knowing that we about to have real transparent, real-time moments. And what you just said was a real transparent, real-time moment for me. I'm like, oh, yeah. That part, but I love that. I really do. And I appreciate, I gotta let that one breathe. Chastity said that's a big one. So that's a big one. All right, I'm gonna give ND a minute to come back. Eric, out of these three questions, which one stood out the most to you, and what would your answer be? I think you're on mute, Eric.
I think he's thinking.
Oh, wait a minute. He's actually.
Is he frozen?
He was.
No, I'm back.
Okay.
Somehow somehow Wi-Fi just went out and came back on.
Okay, so out of the 3 questions, which one stood out to you the most and why? And chat, y'all can answer. I would love to hear. We would love to hear from y'all. Also, out of the 3 questions, which one stands out to you and why? Put it in the chat. We'll definitely read it. We want to hear from you.
So, without me trying to get too emotional on this, when I knew what love was my grandparents, my grandmother and my grandfather, watching them and their friendship after even though they were divorced and remarried to other people. I knew what love was then because of the fact that all 4 of them got together and would be in each other's presence and have laughs with no backlash. So it was like they were all the best of friends. They supported each other. When my step grandfather passed away, my grandfather and my step grandmother made sure that my grandmother was okay, and so forth. And that's what taught me about love. And all my family was very tight. So all the elders basically in our family are gone now. So the elders in the family now is my one cousin Helen, and then under her would be my cousin Jean, and then falls, with me because now we're in our 50s, about to be 60. So once we hit 60, we're considered the elders of the family and all. So we teach everybody under us to make sure they know about the family history and stuff like that. So that way they can teach it to their kids, their grandkids and stuff. Hey, baby, how are you? My daughter came into the room and all.
It's not just yours.
So, we just that's when I first knew what it was, and or with their relationship and with my aunt and uncle's relationship of 52 years of marriage and stuff like that. And I hope I can have a flourishing marriage that they had, and or because the way that just to see them the way that when they got married, I was 2 or 3. So when I was able to understand the dynamics of their marriage, and then when my cousin Nika was born, and then her 2 brothers after that, and the way that they treated their kids and made sure that they did what they needed to do to go through school and all that other stuff. And or I was like, those were my go-to people when I needed advice. My aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, and stuff like that. And every advice that they gave me is how I incorporated into my life to help raise my 2 kids. And to make sure that they understand the dynamics on what it takes to raise children of their own. My daughter has her son. And also, she's doing well with him, but it's still a learning, process. And then one day when Jalen has his children and so forth, I hope he leans on me and his mom for advice on how to take, how do we do it? He sees how we did it, but we need him to ask, how did y'all do it?
So you can pass down those things that you learned at the point when you understood what love was and what it looked like.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
Yep.
Good. That's good. I'm gonna read these 2 comments before turn it over to Indy to answer, to share her which one of these questions stood out to her the most and why. Paris says, isn't a relationship that you're being cheated on a level of emotional and spiritual abuse? Your partner is abusing your trust and respect. To answer that really quickly, on one hand, I would say yes, it is a level of abuse, but it becomes abusive because it's what you allow. You don't. I feel like the same way you wouldn't stand there and let someone hit you and not react or respond. We have to have that same fight or flight type of mentality when it comes to these situations of cheating or any other type of emotional or spiritual, abuse. To put it that way, since using the verbiage that you're using, a person can only do to you what you allow.
Yeah.
Correct.
At the point that you become aware is the point that you make the decision on how you are going to react and respond. Sometimes if you choose to stay, and this is just Dawn, I don't know that you can call it abusive if you are co-signing on it by staying. So that's just for me. It's a little touchy, verbiage, but it's abusive if I allow it. If I don't know about it, that's one thing. If I know about it, then I need to make a decision. I wouldn't allow myself to be abused in any other way, so I would not allow someone to dominate me in that way either. So
you basically have to be strong enough to walk away from the situation.
And you have to know, because I will tell you honestly, in my case, he ended the relationship by saying he was broken and really didn't think he could love anyone at this point. And it wasn't until like a month later that I found out the truth was he was seeing somebody else and other people.
Mm.
So again, it's right. So
it all depends on the circumstance and the situation. But
right. So it depends. You got to be mindful of what you're signing up for. What are you can't do anything about something that you don't know. But at the point that you become knowledgeable of it and you agree to it, now you have partnered with it. So, you're not being taken advantage of. You're actually co-signing. So
you're a participant. I
want to welcome in the Intellectual Soapbox. Thank you for joining us on tonight. So salute to my music curator, Vaughn Eric. The Invisible Man is in the building somewhere. Hey, baby girl, how are you? That is my bonus daughter. That is Eric's daughter, but I call her my bonus baby. And I'm glad to see her in the building. So now, ND, out of the 3 questions, and again, chat, if you want to answer, please do. We'll be wrapping up shortly. Out of the 3 questions, which one stands out to you, and which one would you, and what would your answer or reason be?
So 1 and 3 actually work together because my story is almost the same as Theo's. I was in a relationship for 10 years. 5 of it, I was in the relationship. The other 5, we were business partners because we had built a real estate business together. And I think the first half of the 5 years, because I was in such a broken state, I stayed because he was the first example of a man that I saw that had great work ethics. He was a good provider. He showed up. I had to be hospitalized twice. He was marked present. But then towards the end of the 5 years, I started to see some things that I wasn't sure. But because I was broken, I kind of navigated. And then towards the end of the last 5 years of us being in the relationship, I decided that I was tired. I was giving too much energy into time into something that was never going to be. And I found out, and I promise you, the gentleman that was in my life was always in my space. Like there wasn't a time he wasn't in my space, but he had gotten married 4 days before I graduated seminary school, but was at my seminary graduation with me and my family. And the Lord kept saying to me to check. And so then I got the proof that he had gotten married and had been married from 2016 when I graduated until the time we broke up. But he was marked present. He didn't miss a birthday. He was always here. I could call any time of night, the phone would answer. He was living in his mom's. He went and moved back into his mom's house. So I had been to his mom's house. So it was kind of strange. However, I had got tired of being tired. I got tired of being broken and stopped. And I just made a decision that I made a decision. And the decision was that I was going to learn to love myself the way God intended me to be loved. And it took, and so I had to be intentional in how I showed up for myself first. Once I made the decision, I had to be intentional in my show up, but I also had to be consistent in my show up. And it took some time. And I'm not even mad at him. Can I tell you I ain't mad at him? I'm not mad at him for his show up. I appreciate all that he did when he was here, because all of what he did allowed me to meet my purpose partner. Allowed me to meet the man that I was destined to be with, the one where I could be vulnerable with and still show my strength and not be broken. But I was intentional in being whole, because I said I didn't want to be his problem. I wanted to be his promise.
Mm-hmm.
And that meant that I had to do the work, which is how my singles ministry got, because I kept hearing women with these lists and all of these things. And the moment I got rid of the list, because the list I had it based on what the world told me I was supposed to have, not based on what God told me I needed. So the moment I stopped going and looking at a list, trying to identify my life based on world standards that did not have God principles, and I began to love myself in the manner in which God showed me that love looked like, because I didn't know what love looked like until God showed me how to love myself.
That's good.
So once I allowed myself to be broken and humiliated, and the principles that the Lord made me live, and it was very painful, because a lot of it I had to look at myself, which is why I can say now, I couldn't say a couple of years ago that dude, I could say now I'm not mad at him, because there were some signs, but because I was broken, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Because he was the best example of a man I had seen, including my ex-husband, because his work ethic was crazy. He made money, he kept money, we did things together, he was that. But there were other deficiencies. But because, again, I was broken, I thought that is what love looked like. And I'm grateful for all that he did not do. But I'm elated for all of what he did do. Because what he did do was show me what I did not want nor needed. And now I'm in a really great space. I'm in a great relationship. And that's because it's purpose driven. And I think that once we find out what our purpose is, understand exactly what our purpose is. And I don't know the totality of my whole purpose, but I do know what part of my purpose is. And so I am okay with being vulnerable. I'm okay with being submissive. I'm okay with all those things that people say, oh my God, his opinion matters. How he feels matters, as Dawn says. Me asking him his thoughts about before I make a decision that I know is going to affect us collectively. So the things that people say you shouldn't be, I'm okay with being it, because I'm safe. Right. And because he makes me feel safe, I don't have a problem with submitting. I don't have a problem with showing up. I don't have a problem with pausing and waiting for him to navigate his spaces. I'm okay with that, but that's because I made a decision.
I told you wasn't done.
Well, I was. I mean,
it's okay.
I made a decision. So I think that most of us need to make the decision and put the work in and doing the decision, and be intentional and consistent in our decision making, because that's what I did, and that's what has landed me here to an amazing God-fearing. Oh, let me just make sure I put that in. That knows the Lord, is intentional with God. God sent me what I needed, and so gave me what I wanted, and he added some bonuses to it.
Amen. Thank you for that share. Thank you all for answering the question, for coming through with your thoughts and your feelings and your perspectives, because this is helping all of us, because someone out here is also thinking, feeling, or questioning the same things, but you are actually and wondering or thinking that it's not normal, or this is not a part of the process, but you have heard everyone up here share where they're at. So we're all on the same journey, but we're all not in the same spaces. We all didn't get here in the same way. So someone's voice has resonated with someone else that needs to hear it. So, you guys have been making this conversation so amazing on tonight. Welcome in my big brother Donald's in the building. That's number 204. Say hi to my brother, y'all. Hi, big bro. I love you.
Hey, Donald.
That's my brother for real, y'all. For real. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same mother and father. Same. We the same. Everybody, I gotta put that in there because everybody don't have that. That's my big brother who I look up to. I love you, Donald. If I was going to share, on these questions, I would have to say really quickly, and then I have our final question of the night, which is going to be real quick for y'all. It's not a trick question. Again, hope y'all trust me better. But for me, I would have to say I can't really segregate after having written this book, like Theo, and shared in it. At this point in life, which question stands out to me the most would probably be number 3, because that's everything that I am right now is because of that question. The me that has become and is becoming is because of that question. When I got to that point, that was my pivot, my shift, all of that, my turning the corner. Without that question, I would not be where I am, and I would not be who I am. It's what pushed me to become. So if I was just to run through it real quick, I would say what I thought love was, and I'm going to take it straight from the book, because I think someone needs to hear it this way. What I wrote was, I'm not exactly sure what I thought love was, because my definition of love changed so many times. Outside of God's love, I never understood what real love meant. I know that no one can love us like God does, but I never attempted to use his love as a guide in my choices in who I loved or who should love me. I simply accepted whatever a person offered. I thought I had to sacrifice myself in order to grow someone else. If I poured into, supported, pushed, and loved them with all I had, it would be enough to fill them up and help them become what I saw in them, what they couldn't see in themselves. I thought I had enough love for both of us to survive and grow until the other person was able to stand and be strong, full, and focused. It was okay if they didn't have enough to give back, because one day they would be able to replenish what I put in. That's what I thought love was. You want to talk about self-sacrificing? That's what I thought love was. That's how I made love decisions. Wrong. That is how, but this was how I governed myself. I thought I was setting up someone for failure to love me the way God loves me, because we could never be loved the way God loves us. So automatically, me comparing you to the way God loves me was just like, you're going to fail, bro. You're going to fail at every turn. And that was wrong, because they may not love you the way God loves you or whatever your moral compass is, but the principles in love should always be present. So I wanted to share that. Then the second question of when I knew what love was, I shared that I now know that love is committing. My pastor made a point of how, again, because we're believers, of what marriage looked like back in biblical days, and really what happens in that process. And when I understood that, and for those who are believers, go back and really look at what marriage really looked like, how they ripped an animal in half and a couple walked down. It wasn't pretty and everything perfect. It was rough. It was nasty. It was rugged. It was difficult. And to the question of when I knew what love was, after him explaining that, I said, I now know that love is committing to taking a rough journey with someone down a hard road and turning it into something beautiful. It is accepting the balance of good and bad, joy and pain, strengths and weaknesses, and failures and success with the same energy and passion. I understand that love is not always fair or even. Sometimes you will give more than you get. It involves sacrificing for someone who's built to sacrifice for you when you need it. It's reciprocation, like the infinity symbol. So that's what I then knew. That's when I knew what love was. And when I decided to love me, I said, I now realize that the situation, because like I said, after my first divorce, then I got into a really bad, I'm just going to say it was a really bad relationship that ended horribly. I said, I now realize that the situation wasn't my marriage. It was how I viewed myself. So when I decided to love me. Wasn't the marriage, it was the other things. It's how I viewed myself that got me into those situations or allowed me to accept things in the situations. How I viewed myself and what I deserved and what I was deserving of. It was time to take a painful look in the mirror and take responsibility for making excuses for people who made excuses and for not putting forth and sticking to standards that were reflective of who I truly am. I said that was the day Dawn died. I wrote down all the things I was and was not. Then one by one, I honestly faced those things that I held on to from my past that crippled my emotions and self-perception. I cried disappointed tears for allowing myself to accept pieces of love, but I owned every tear and began to forgive myself. I told myself it was okay to be totally me and to love me totally. I accepted my perfectly placed imperfections, and that's the day that the real me was born. So those are my answers to those questions. And when it comes down to loving you is hurting me, and I hope that they had all of what has been said tonight has been helpful to someone, that you have gathered something from it, and that these are self-reflective things. So with all of this having been said and done, my last question to our team, and then I want you to give your final thoughts and comments as well. My brother says, good share, sis, good points. Thank you, bro. It's really what I went through to get where I am. And everyone has lent amazing content to this conversation. So lastly, I would just say to you guys, after all of this, when all of this is said and done, we're talking about loving ourselves and not to the point where we're allowing ourselves to be hurt by others. One thing we have to question is our identity, because our identity is key. When we know who we are, we will not accept every and anything. So the question is, who are you? Who are you? If you could take 2 words to describe you, what would they be? Indy, what would your 2 words be? Are you frozen? I think she's frozen. All right, we'll come back. Eric, if you could describe you in 2 words, what would they be?
God-fearing and confident.
Okay. Theo, what would your 2 words be?
Oh my God. Well, I'm just gonna read the scripture that is above the last chapter of When I Knew What Love Was, and it says, I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well. So I will say that I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
I love it. I love it. Justin, what would your 2 words be?
I guess I would say growing and becoming.
Good, good. And D, what would your 2 words be?
Can you repeat the question one more time? I'm sorry, I was dealing with my grandson.
It's okay. The question was, the question is, we're talking about our identity. Who are you? So if you could describe yourself in 2 words, what would they be?
Free and whole.
Love it. Love it. And chat, if you want to share, please do. My brother says, can I say 1 word? Awesome. Yes, Donald, you are awesome. You can break it up into 2 or AWE-some if you want. But yes, you are awesome. That's right. Say it. And chat, I want you to think about it. And if you had to describe yourself, the reason why this question is so important, we ask, who are you? One thing I want to say, I love everyone's answer, especially because none of you said, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a teacher, I'm a painter, I'm a poet, I'm a counselor, because all of those things are not who we are. They're what we do. And oftentimes we attach what we do and make that our identity. But you are so much more than what you do. We have to know who we are. God-fearing, confident, fearfully, wonderfully made, growing and becoming free and whole. And this is how we need to look at ourselves and remember who we are as we're going along, loving other people and allowing people to love us, so that we don't get caught in a space of us giving so much of ourselves that it is hurting who we are. So I want to thank the team on tonight for sharing. I really, really do. I hope this conversation has been great to everyone. It has been amazing. I have enjoyed it. Did you guys enjoy this conversation? I'm glad y'all enjoyed it. It was really good, right? See, it wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And it's a good way to come back. It was a good conversation to come back to after being gone. I think I was gone for almost 5 months.
Mm-hmm. 4 minutes. We've been going for a minute. Yeah. I don't know how long it's been, but we've been going for a minute. But I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad everyone's back. And I want to thank the chat for being here. And again, invite you to like, subscribe, and share, guys. Please bring someone in with you. When you do, come on and invite a friend. Lastly, I want to say, above all, you know you're loved when you feel loved. Mm-hmm. That's how you know you are loved.
Yeah. Okay, so don't let loving someone else be what's hurting you. Listen, get rid of the pain and get back to the love. So, invite you all. We're going to wrap up August in a great way. Come right back here next Thursday night. Why? Because Justin is going to be in the spotlight talking about courageous vulnerability. That's right. You still got time to get it. Order it on Amazon. I promise you, it comes so fast, okay? Still got her so we can enjoy this conversation. We're going to just go let him go ham and have a field day. I'm excited about it, looking forward to it. And then make sure that you tune in with us and stay in contact, because in September we are coming back with a whole another lineup. We are getting ready for cuffing season, which is in October. Fluffy Nation, y'all better get ready, okay? Because you know we gonna have some Fluffy Nation conversation. All right. We're gonna take a equip you with the tools you need to protect yourselves, okay? If you was not the summer love, don't be the fool, the full fool, okay? Don't fall for it. Because it's starting now. So come on and join us next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here. We'll be back with our spot member, Justin Wilson, AJW, aka The Poet, and he's going to share from his book. Y'all don't want to miss it. Come get deep with us. Have a great night. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys next week.
Up with a snake, get the rake up. Yeah, selfish, I'm a cake up. If I don't shake me to wake up, let my depression catapult me to succession. Shine a light on my imperfections like a projection. Every struggle and lesson, your issues ain't your oppression. Never got a question, they pushing me to progression. Like I'ma make the rest of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life.